Welcome to the World Cup Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the west coast of the U.S., Josh Lander, joined by my mate across the pond, Dan Tracy. How are you this morning, Dan?
Yeah, very good, thank you. We're now in the busiest end of our discussions. We've discussed all the group stage fixtures, all 48 of them. There's now 16 matches left to go. So now we're talking round 16 onwards, and it's getting really interesting from here.
Very, very interesting indeed. Luckily, we get to kick this off with the United States having moved on. So we'll talk about that game first, as well as the other game taking place that day, Argentina and Australia. We are coming to you each and every day of this World Cup until it ends with videos for you guys as we get into these elimination rounds. Make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Also head to thelines.com. Dan puts all of his articles up on there, game picks and the like, as we move forward through this World Cup. Also have our odds finder tool in all of those articles so that you can go ahead and make sure you're getting the best juice back on all the bets you make on this World Cup as it continues to wind on. Dan, let's go ahead and get into the first game of this day. Netherlands won their group. They will take on the U.S. They looked pretty lackluster in a number of games that they played, pretty much all of them, even against the Qataris in a 3-0 victory. But more on that in a second. Just to read the lines for you guys, USA plus 330 to win this game on the three-way money line. A draw is plus 230. The Netherlands are even money here, plus 100 as I have it. Best odds for them to win this game outright as well. So yeah, let's go ahead and just get into it. What do you make of this game? I know there's some injury stuff. We'll get into all that stuff here. So I'm just kind of wondering what your first take on this game is.
Well, I think one thing to mention before any of these 8 knockout matches that we're going to be focusing in this round is that you've got the new market opens up to qualify. So you don't have to back a team to win after 90 minutes. You've got that extra insurance of maybe a winning extra time or penalties if needed.
Right.
So I'm not sure we're going to need that in this game, but it's something to certainly remember. It's probably something we're going to call upon over the next few days, but just something that to make people aware you've got an extra 30 minutes that can be used. It'll cost you a little bit of money in terms of the odds you'll get back, but it does give you an extra layer of insurance if you need it. As for this game, though, the Dutch, they've been solid. They haven't been spectacular, but they've done enough to get to where they are. And when you're in tournament football, that's not the worst thing because you've still got plenty of time to really hit the top gears. So The Netherlands are probably at the right spot in terms of getting out of the group and just sort of into the round 16, that's fine. I'm not too sort of blown away by them. I'm not backing them to go and win outright yet. We have to see how they can do in this fixture. Now, Cody Gakpo has been the man for the Netherlands. There's no doubt about that. 3 games, 3 goals. But you wonder, is the streak going to come to an end? Now, the trap that people will fall into, that being bettors, is that they kind of see a man who scores 3 in a row and think, do you know what, I'll have that. But there's always a danger that the ship has sailed. You've missed that streak. That streak will have to come to an end at some point, and therefore you think, actually, maybe I need to go elsewhere. So for me, I'm going to go with Memphis Depay to score any time instead at 175 plus, because he had a fitness issue at the start of the tournament, started against Qatar. He's just kind of revving into top gear himself, looking for his first goal in the tournament. Yeah. There's no better stage than knockout football or knockout soccer to do it. So that's going to be my first pick. And avoid Gakpo. I mean, if he gets the goal, I'll probably got egg on my face. You can get that plus 333 if you're feeling really brave. I don't see it because, as I say, there's too many goals that have happened. You don't really get 4 in a row in terms of World Cup football. So I'm going to go elsewhere, and that man is Memphis Depay.
Interesting. Now, my thinking goes towards the total number of goals once you start talking about Memphis Depay. My thought is you can get him plus 350 to be the first scorer. You can get him plus 170 to be an anytime scorer is how I have those odds here. There might be a bit better juice that I'm not seeing here available in the U.S., but as it stands, I don't expect there to be that many goals in this game. So if you expect the Netherlands to, say, get at least 1, maybe 2, then I think your odds for him being the first scorer, doubling your money back for him to be the first scorer as opposed to any time, makes sense with the lack of goals that I think were probably coming in this game. What does your eye tell you when it comes to the total in this one?
I'd be going for over 2.5, but I wouldn't be going for over 3.5, so 3 goals, which leads me into the next bet, really. So I'm going to go with Netherlands to win, but both teams to score. So as you sort of say with the Netherlands, there are goals there, but I don't see an abundance of goals. And you could say the same about the United States as well. They've scored twice in the group stages. But have they really got that kind of spark to certainly take on the Dutch and match them toe for toe? I'm not too sure. So I feel the Dutch will edge it. And I'm sorry to sort of disappoint any US listeners that we've built up over the past couple of months. I feel the road for you guys ends here. But I feel it's going to be a tight game. It's going to be 1 goal in it. So if you wanted to go with both teams to score, as I say, 2-1, You could also go with that as a correct score bet. You can get Netherlands 2, United States 1 at about plus 750 if you want to go for a correct score bet. But if we're using the logic of more than 2 but less than 4, then obviously it has to be over 2.5, doesn't it? It can't be over 3.5. I think it's going to be too much. I think it's going to be quite a tight affair, and I feel the Dutch will just edge out. So that's why I'm going for both teams to score, but a Dutch win in the end.
Yeah, I mean, and it's interesting because this market says under 2.5 is minus 170 on your money. They're not very good, right? Like, so they're obviously expecting a lack of goals to come in this one. It seems like the score they're predicting here would be roughly 2-0 Netherlands. Over 2.5 does get you that juice of plus 135. Now you are banking. I mean, it's not a terrible bet if you're banking on the U.S. to score once, and you're banking on Netherlands to have, sort of put one away in stoppage time, or rather, in this, let's say it's 2-0 somewhere in the last 15-20 minutes of the match. Now you're expecting Netherlands to maybe put one more in the back of the net to put it away fully at 3-0. My gut is scared to bet on too many goals for the Netherlands, as we've seen them be perfectly satisfied with 2 goals in a match and win 2-0. A lot of teams, depending on the style of play, maybe, but a lot of teams you would think feel more comfortable at 3-0 than 2-0, as 2-0 is often, labeled the most dangerous lead in sports, specifically hockey and soccer, where one goal is now the momentum is swung so far for the other team that they're just pining for one more goal, meaning, you really do want that third safety net goal. I just haven't seen the Netherlands really be interested in doing that, which I'm going to continue to follow my own logic that I've continued to use, which is believe what these teams are telling you. Don't think that you're going to see too many outliers after the Dutch have played 3 games in a row where they scored 2 goals. And the 2 they scored in that first game of their tournament against Senegal, I believe, they really waited until the last bit of time to put those away as well. So 2 goals seems about right for the Dutch. It's a matter of whether or not you think the U.S. will be able to put one in the back of the net for that total, as far as I'm concerned. So I would go over 2.5 because I have to believe, and I'm not going to bet strictly on the U.S. to lose or anything of that nature, and I don't have the draw at my disposal as a backup valve. So I think I'm going total as well, and I like Memphis Depay to score first goal scorer as well at plus 350. So let's go to the other game that day, Dan, playing at I believe earlier in the day is the Argentina and Australia. No, I'm sorry, it's a bit later in the day is that one. Minus 500 for the Argentinians. They've turned it around, needless to say. Plus 1,300 for the Australians, the feisty Socceroos, who hopefully will not be too hungover by the time that they get to this match. You can get the draw right at full time there at plus 650. So that doesn't seem quite so likely, does it? What do you make of this one? Is Argentina back, and are they a good team to back to make it to the finals at this point?
Yes, they are back. Whether they can make it to the finals, not quite sure, but maybe a bit too early. Let's see how they get through this one, because they have been shocked in this World Cup. We can't forget the fact they lost to Saudi Arabia, but if you're going to have a bad result, get it out of the way early. And they've had that bad result in theory, so it should be a much easier from here. But with that said, we look at the World Cup this year, it's been incredibly entertaining, but you could quite easily just miss the first 45 minutes of every game and still get the action in the second half.
Truth.
I believe now it's out of, I can't remember how many matches we're at. So 44 matches we're at as of time of recording. 23 of those have seen a 0-0 half-time score. And that's with Giants going up against Minnows. It doesn't matter who's playing, it seems to be a lack of goals in the first half. So with this logic, and when you consider over 50% of this has happened already, I'm not going for 0-0 at half-time, but I'm going for a half-time tie at plus 165. With the weight of that many matches, this isn't some statistical quirk where we've just seen, 5 or 6, you think, oh, okay, well, maybe this team's being cagey. This is quite a big trend in this World Cup, and it just seems to be that teams are playing not to lose in the first half and then sort of giving it all in the second. Maybe that is because of the weather. We haven't really heard the weather be so much of a pertinent issue. A lot of people are saying, oh, well, the weather's going to stifle this and stifle that. We're not sort of seeing it in terms of conversation, but maybe this is part of the reason, because we're not actually there. It might be that the heat is quite oppressive first half and you have to sort of get yourself into the game. So Australia, yes, I mean, they are going to be the minnows in this clash, but they have impressed against Denmark, against Tunisia. They even scored first against France. So they're in this round of 16 by right. Who knows? I don't know if they're going to win, but I don't feel they're going to be gung-ho in the first 45 minutes. And Argentina themselves seem to be quite happy to wait. They're not in a panic in the sort of first half. If they get to the second half, it's still 0-0, as we saw against Poland. That's when they turn the screw. So a half-time draw at 165, I think it's a great starting point.
So I'm happy to say this is the first time that we actually disagree.
Oh, wow.
And we've disagreed in the past, but this one I'm on the complete opposite side of that equation. My thought process here is that yes, you're right in terms of the amount of 0-0s at first half. Argentina, if you watch that game against Poland, had like 4 posts, a blocked PK, and had the ball in the other third for the most part. So I would say they were going for it. That's my only thing. Now, at the same time, we saw 0-0 ties on the third day of matches for each group as well. But I do think in a lot of those matches, outside of the Belgians who deserve to be gone because they didn't bring it in the first half or most of the second half, most teams that needed to score, needed to bring it, even the Mexicans, against the Saudis, they were unable to score in that first half. But I did think they were bringing it a little bit. My main fear here is that Argentina is going to be putting it on from the start, and that the amount of chances that they had in Poland is just burned into my brain in a way that's like, I just see them going for it. There's a lot of rips from outside. For the Australians, they come out strong, right? They come out very, very strong, as we saw. They like to score in the first half and then just sit back and do what they can. Obviously, that was never going to work against France, as France woke up right away and put 4 away against them. But in this one, I do see it as a potential similar situation to the Australia-France match and the way that Argentina pressed in the last match that they played. So I'm a bit nervous. I agree in the sense that like this could be close in the first half, and maybe you take like a goal for Australia in the first half line there, right? And if it +1 for them in that sense. And that still is at about -122 over here. So not too bad on your money if you feel like they are going to at least be within striking distance. But let me allow you to rebut what I'm saying.
Right, okay, well, I've got a plan B then. So if it's not a tie at halftime, or even if it is a tie at halftime, I've gone for a correct score, but a range of correct scores. So tournament football in this stage got onwards from round 16. It's quite hard to nail down correct scores.
Yeah.
You don't know how the ebb and flow of the game's really going to go. It might take an early upset and then the whole pattern changes. So
Right.
Because Australia have scored in their first 3 group stage matches, I'm confident they're going to get 1 goal. Now, I'm not saying Australia are going to win at any stage, but as long as they score, I can give you Argentina 2-1, 3-1, or 4-1 win at +380. So if your theory of they're going to go early, that's absolutely fine. I've got no issues with that. I'm kind of covering both bases here, and as long as Australia score and your theory of Argentina hit the metal, then we both kind of come together and find a winner. So if you want a range of correct scores, I think that is the perfect one.
2-1, 3-1, 4-1. And does that work in a way that you're betting all 3 of those at really nice odds, or is that an actual singular bet?
That is all. You get all 3 scores for +380. You can have.
Wow.
So as long as one of those gets hit, you're a winner.
And you're doing that by selecting each match. Like you have a range of matches of options that you can choose, but all of them are Argentina win 2-1, 3-1, 4-1, or is that just correct score 2-1, 3-1, 4-1?
So that is correct. So it's correct score. This is on BetMGM. So you just go correct score, and it says Argentina 2-1, 3-1, 4-1. So you've got 3 Argentina wins in one pick. You don't have to go 2-1, 3-1, 4-1. They're bunched together, and you get +380 in that bunch.
I'm learning with everyone here who might be learning as well, and I fucking love that. I'm definitely going to hit that as well. I see the potential for 2-1, 3-1, 4-1 easily, depending on how Australia play. To your point, them getting a goal in the back of the net is really the ballsiest part of the pick. To me, it's a matter of, are Argentina going to score 2, 3, or 4 goals in this game? And are the Socceroos going to be able to withhold a little bit more so than they were against Mbappe and Giroud? Or is this going to be a similar case where they just get blown away even if they do put one away? That's a wonderful bet there, and I would feel very confident in that as well. I'm not trying to shit all over your first half bet either, by the way. I think there's opportunity.
We're friends now. I like the way you've come back round.
We're back. Anyway, that is all the time we have for you guys. Continue to come back to us. We're bringing you these 2 games each day that are playing in this round of 16 before we take a small break and then come back for the quarterfinals there. So continue to follow along, like, and subscribe. Keep heading to thelines.com so you can get all this stuff that we're saying here in one place via Dan's articles. And until we see you next, happy betting.